my channel. So a few years ago, I have posted a video on my YouTube on pros and cons of working as a registered nurse in New Zealand and in Australia. So I thought for today, I'm gonna do a Q&A in regards to that topic while I am having a cup of tea. So I think this is the best time for me to answer those questions, especially that we are really in need of healthcare workers and nurses as well. So someone asked, "Hi, just wondering if Australia will consider our experience in the Philippines and New Zealand." So yes, they will consider our work experience. So they do have a leveling system here, which starts from being a new grad, being like fresh graduate, up to year 8. So that leveling system, it depends on your work experience. And I transferred here my work experience from the Philippines and as well as from New Zealand were counted, and then they would base your the year, let's say for example, the year that I will be, and which also corresponds on how much they're gonna pay me with regards to that work experience that I had. Next question is, "Hi, if we have PR in NZ, which is New Zealand, how can we come to Australia to work as an RN?" I have friends that were just PR, or what they call permanent resident, but in my case, I was a New Zealand citizen before I came over. But I don't think that would matter if you are a New Zealand citizen or just a permanent resident holder, as long as you are an APRA registered. APRA is, which I have forgotten the meaning. Let me search it up for you just very quickly. APRA is the Australian Health Practitioner Regulation Agency. So New Zealand and Australia has got what they call trans-Tasman agreements. So if you are registered if you are a registered nurse on either of the country, you can work on either of the country as well. So for example, I was initially registered as a nurse in New Zealand. So when I came over here, I just have to apply and register at what I've said, APRA. And then once I got my registration from them, then I could come over here and work as a registered nurse in Australia as well. So same thing, if you are a nurse in Australia, you just have to register to New Zealand, and then you can work as a nurse in New Zealand as well. So that's what they call the trans-Tasman agreement. You can either work on you can work on either of the country as long as you're a registered nurse on either of the countries. So that's how good it is. And then another question is, very useful video po. Ask ko lang po, what ink colors po ng pen ang gamit ng documentation, and what color of shoes and socks naman po sa uniform? So let me translate that in English. This person is specifically asking on what are the ink colors that we're going to use as in documenting in the hospital, and as well as what color of shoes and socks that we have to use as a uniform. So in the hospital that I'm working at, we just have to wear scrubs, or they don't really have like a specific uniform for the hospital. You can either wear scrubs that doesn't have any logo of the hospital. If you don't have like scrubs or whatsoever, you can just wear black pants and dark shoes, and please refrain from using those colored socks or those colored clothes or colored pants at work. So you kind of like still have to look professional regardless if there's no like a specific uniform for the hospital. But though I've also worked in a private hospital here in Australia, in Melbourne, and they do have like a specific uniform for their hospital, but I don't have to pay for that. That's all being paid for from that private hospital that I was working at. But in this public hospital that I am working right now, you have to pay for your own uniform. But as I have said, they don't have like specific standard as long as it is ideal for a hospital setting. And with regards to the ink colors that you're gonna use, we usually, unlike Philippines, that I could remember that we have to use like blue, red, and green. depending on what shift you're on. But in most of the hospitals that I have worked, you can just use a black or a blue pen in documenting your nursing notes or whatsoever. However, some hospitals, the hospital that I'm working at to include, have already transitioned to what we call electronic documentation. So everything from the nursing notes, from the fluid balance chart, even from the doctor's request, or even if you'll ask for like a doctor's review, even if you're gonna send referrals and whatsoever, you have to do it all electronically. But some hospitals still do like a manual or like in writing documentation, but black and blue pen will be all good. And the next question is, your video was very informative. May I check if you still have enrolled nurses to help you in taking care of 4 patients during day shifts, or are you totally alone taking 4 patients? Thanks. Right, so this question is very tricky really, because some hospitals do have enrolled nurses and some don't. So I have, in both hospitals that I have worked, both in private and in public hospitals, both of them have enrolled nurses. So they do have their own patient load. However, there are certain medications that they could not give, some of the intravenous medications that they could not give. Some also have what they call, what's that term? Medication indoors, something like that, that they could give medications. But as I have said, they have their own patient load. Hospitals have what they call the buddy system or team nursing. So whoever is on within that team with the enrolled nurse, that registered nurse will gonna give the medications for that enrolled nurse that doesn't have a medication indoors certificate or something like that. Just how it works. They have their own patient load, and yes, we still have enrolled nurses in Australia. And then this very last question that I'm gonna answer is very, very interesting. So it says, what about patients and families, societies overall? Respect towards nursing profession in Australia and New Zealand. I am a nurse working in Singapore, and that's one of the setbacks that nurses encounter here. So wherever you go, wherever country that you will go, there are people that will underestimate and discriminate your capabilities. Doesn't matter what your race is, and doesn't matter how many years of experience you have, there will always be someone that will not appreciate what you've done. So there is a saying goes, you're not everybody's cup of tea, you know. So if you ever encounter on that certain situation, just don't get involved. Try and stay calm, be professional as much as you could. Because the more you entertain those kind of people, the more you'll get anxious, and you kind of be involved in that situation, and that's when it's being escalated, and then we're gonna lose your temper, and then worse will come. So I can't remember if I think I might have experienced being discriminated or even underestimated in my work, but you know what? I don't really care. As long as I've done my part in looking after my patients and taking care of my patients, I've done whatever I should have done, and I did not do any harm to anyone, then I'm good with that. So as I've said, don't get involved with anything when it comes to that discrimination and underestimation with your capabilities, because you know your worth and you know what you're capable of, so just don't get involved. So yeah, if you do have, I think that's all for now, guys, really. If you do have any more questions for me with regards to working as a nurse in Australia, just comment on the comment box below, and I'll try to cater it as much as I could. I think that's all for now, guys, and I hope to see you on my next videos. Keep safe, everyone. Bye.